they come out clean.
All right, guys, Birds and Buckets, we're back at it again. And as you see, instead of bringing on a new guest, we decided to bring on an old friend of the show. Malik, let's get it going.
You got it? What you gonna do? What's up?
Now, with this introduction, I already did the initial introduction, so I guess we just got to do the rewind. We got a couple of things to say. You know, recently we had some people come on and they said a few things. So, you know how we do over here.
Yeah.
We let them respond. We don't just let people get off. We let them respond. So, this week, coming back to the show, we got my boy, a.k.a. Reggie's World. We got Reggie in the building. Reggie, what's good with you, man?
What's good, fellas?
Man.
What's good?
Hey, I'm going to let Malik go. I'm going to clear out from Malik. I'm going to get the ball to him and clear out.
Oh, my goodness.
Reggie, I've been waiting for this all day. Now, look, the last time you came on,
man,
if I'm not mistaken,
let's get it.
if I'm not mistaken, the last time you came on, Coach Lloyd Pierce, well, excuse me, former coach Lloyd Pierce, he was the coach of the Hawks, correct? And we talked about if he should get fired or whatnot, and you stood by his side.
Yeah.
He got fired maybe 2 weeks after, and you still defended him. And I just wanted, and I go ahead, say it. Go ahead.
Look, after reading the athletic piece, I'm okay with Lloyd Pierce being fired, right? Like I'm okay with it. My arguments with Lloyd Pierce has more to do with why the team was losing this season. Was more about this season, as far as why the team was losing games. To me, like, I think it's like it has to go hand in hand, and I feel like Atlanta's Hawk fans don't. Is always everything's the coach's fault. Everything's Lloyd's fault. Everything.
Hey Reggie, hold on. But before you continue, last week, in all fairness, when someone brought up Atlanta Hawks fans, we made them name some names. So this week, in all fairness, last week we asked for names and they named you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it would be fair to you if you said Hawks fans and you didn't give some names back. So this your chance to give some names before you continue with your point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want me to name a person? Okay.
Go crazy.
Miss D. Her. She's and look, I like her. She's cool. But like, y'all sit there?
Yeah, we still here. Yeah.
I mean, okay, but not. I mean, and it's not just her. And I actually like her. I actually like interacting with Hawk fans. As long as it's nothing personal. Most of the time, it's never personal. Like, it's all fun. Like, I like arguing and interacting with Hawk fans on Twitter. That's fun. But and I'm not trying to call her out specifically, but just in general, like, I feel like Hawk fans, when Lloyd Pierce was coaching this season, forget about what happened last year and what happened, the first year when, like, I don't care about that. But this season, it seems like Hawk fans never, ever, ever give accountability to, when players don't perform up to their capabilities in these losses. Like Trae Young. Like, I love Trae Young. He's awesome. I'm glad he's a Hawk. But there are times this season where, like, especially late in games, he didn't play up to his standards. Like, no offense to Trae.
Trae definitely hasn't played. Last year coming off of 30 and 10, and then it seemed like he was just naturally thinking in your mind he's gonna make another leap. It always hasn't been like that. And some nights he's like incredible. He's incredible. Trae, the whole nine. does the thing, and all that when it comes time. But I'm agreeing with you on that point. It hasn't been there every single night with Trey this season, but more wins.
And Trey's made some, progress in certain areas of his game this season. I'll give him credit for that. But just specifically, like late in games, there's been times where he just hasn't come through for his team. And and not just Trey, but like Gallinari, like before Lloyd Pierce got fired, he was awful. Like he wasn't defending, he wasn't making shots, he wasn't playing up to his standard. Cam Reddish, like we all expected Cam Reddish to make this huge leap in his second year. Now I get that development isn't always linear and all that stuff, but like he's been disappointing. And Kevin Huerter at times has been inconsistent. And Rondo hasn't been particularly good until he's had a nice little stretch of games under Nate McMillan and all. But like I feel like the players, Hawk fans need to. I don't think they've done a good job this season of just holding players accountable. Everything can't be all Lloyd's fault. Now, does Lloyd deserve blame? Some blame for what's happening, this season and, for the stuff he did last year? Sure, absolutely. But I feel like there should be an equal piece of the pie. It can't be just Lloyd's fault. Everything's Lloyd's fault. And to me, that's where my defense of Lloyd Pierce comes from.
I got a question for you. Someone else has brought this up to me and asked me this a few times. Do you think the players might have intentionally been kind of bombing it on purpose to get rid of Lloyd Pierce since they didn't like him, or according to that Athletic story?
I'm not gonna go that far. And here's why. When I watched the Hawks, play this season, even with Lloyd Pierce, I never got the impression that they weren't trying hard or they weren't playing hard. Like the Hawks were 14-20 when Lloyd Pierce was fired. Their point differential was -0.3, basically like even, which tells you that they were 14-20, but the expected differential was of a 500 team. They really should have been 17-17, and they were 14-20. So like they're competing, they're trying hard, and it's kind of weird that you hear all this gossip about how certain players don't like Lloyd Pierce, and yet it's not like the Hawks were getting blown out in all these games. You know what I'm saying? Like most games, they're competing, they're in them. Like they're like from tip off, they're ready to play. They're trying hard. Offensively, I get some of his criticism on offense, but like, the Hawks' an offensive rating when Lloyd Pierce was fired was 12, which, considering all of the injuries that they've had, that's not bad. Like being in the top half in the league in offense ain't bad. So, like, like you watch Sacramento, for example. Like Sacramento last night played the 76ers without Embiid, without Joel Embiid, and without Ben Simmons, and they lost by like 25, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Like you watch Sacramento play. They don't defend. There's certain games where they just mail it in and they, don't try.
Well, to your defense, like no one calls Luke Walton a good coach.
Right. Like what I'm saying is like in that situation, it's like Luke Walton. To me, like if I was a Kings fan and I'm watching the Kings play every night and I'm watching them not try on defense and they're getting blown out in every other game, like in that situation, I could understand, calling for his head, but with Lloyd Pierce, like he had the Hawks like despite all the, rumors about Trey not liking Lloyd and John Collins not liking Lloyd. Yeah, like despite all of that, they were playing for the most part. I saw a team playing hard for the man. At least this season. Now, last season, that's like I said. And personally, for me, I think Lloyd Pierce was actually fired for like some of the stuff that happened last season. At least, reading the Athletic article, it kind of to me, it came across that like, some of the, off the court stuff and, Lloyd Pierce. I remember his comments about Trey not, making the USA team. You remember that, right?
Yeah,
That.
for sure.
Like, like him not making the USA team. Like if I'm Lloyd Pierce, like I feel like comments like that kind of rub Trey the wrong way. And if I'm Trey Young, like I want my coach to support me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
in everything that I do. So, I think things like that kind of rub Trey the wrong way. John Collins, Lloyd Pierce talks about how, he doesn't run plays for John Collins and things like that. Like, I feel like those little things like that, it seems to me that Lloyd Pierce never did a good job of managing egos, when it came to his players.
Uh-huh.
And that probably, and not just Johnny. I'm sure there are other players, Cam Reddish, and it just seems like that Lloyd Pierce never was able to get a hand on, his young players, and I think that probably did him in more than anything. But as far as this season goes, like I think Lloyd Pierce, I think he did the best job that he could, and they got off to a good start. They were 10-9, and all of a sudden you have injuries, and then all of a sudden you lose games, and it's not it's not like the games that they were losing were like blowouts or anything. They just lose games, and then when you lose games, you lose confidence, you start having self-doubt, and then all of a sudden some of the issues that you had last year kind of creeps back in, and then all of a sudden the losing continues, and then you lose confidence.
I have just a couple more questions before we move on, because we got a bunch of other news to get on to.
Okay.
Two particular games in this past winning streak. I just want to kind of know, like, because I know, like, you tweeted some stuff and people jumped on you at the end of the game. The Orlando game and the Toronto game. but what was kind of like your thought process through both of those games where, the Orlando game, they're down by about 20 on the road to a team they should have been beating. And then the Toronto game, I think they blew.
You're breaking up.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me know when you can hear me again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The Orlando game, they were losing to 20 to a team that they should have been beating. And then the Toronto game, I believe they had a big lead that they blew. And, they were down big, and then they ultimately came back from down. Both of those games, you kind of tweeted, like, during the game, like, see, same problems under McMillan, and then the Hawks ultimately, like, won those games. So I just want to know your thoughts on those two games in particular. And then we'll move on. I'll let Malik take it over after that.
It's interesting because when you watch the Orlando game, the Hawks really were not playing well for about 2.5 quarters of that game. Like you just watched it, and they're on a back-to-back, and it just felt like there's no way they're gonna win this game. And then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, Trey Young starts making plays. Kevin Huerter, who I think has just been, to me, I think he's kind of been like an unsung hero over this win streak, especially like how he, like, defensively. I think he's played the best defense he's ever played in his life, personally. But he's making plays on both ends, and Trey Young, he had a couple of threes. They got, Gallinari was doing this thing, and they, to the Hawks credit, like, and I think the Hawks come back one that game, but I think me winning, the game before that they beat Miami, and when you win when you win games in the NBA, like, you gain confidence. And I think when the Hawks beat the Miami Heat, which was Nate's first game, you know, even though they were down to Orlando big, you know, it you can kind of tell that, you know, when they started making plays, like, they started believing, you know, that they can win. And that's exactly what they did. And they handled their business against Orlando. And then they played Toronto. And then they got off to that big start. You know, they were, you know, in the first quarter, you know, they were making plays. And then they got up big. And then all of a sudden they hit a little lull. And then Toronto was just, you know, doing their thing, you know, making plays. And then all of a sudden, you know, that game was just kind of weird in the sense that, like, okay, like, in my mind, you're just thinking, like, okay, there's no way the Hawks, like, you're so frustrated at the Hawks for how they're just, you know, how can you be up so big, and then all of a sudden you just let a team in Toronto who's without 3 of their 5 best players, and they just come right back, and not only do they come back, they go up 15 points on you. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, you know, in your mind, you're just like, here we go again, you know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here we go again. Like, it's the same thing. I mean, why we fired Lloyd Pierce for this? Really? And then, I'm sorry. Yeah, but y'all sit there?
Reggie, you are crazy. Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, but, like, you know, they just, like, that's how they were looking, you know, when they blew that lead to Toronto in the third quarter. And then, like, look, they pulled it off and they executed well in the fourth quarter. And Trae Young was fantastic late. And, you know, I think, like, if any, the one thing I'll give Nate credit for is, like, it just seems to me like a new voice is just, you know, felt like under Lloyd when the losing happened, when they started losing these games where they kind of lost their way a little bit under Lloyd, and Nate McMillan is giving them just, you know, a little bit of you know, some fresh air and some new life into the team. And they're just, you know, they're confident. They don't always play well in these games. And, you know, I guess we can talk about, you know, the later games that they had against Sacramento and Cleveland and OKC and Houston, and even yesterday against the Lakers. Like, they're not playing well in for certain stretches of the game, but, like, you can tell that they're just, even though they don't always play well, you can tell that they're just confident that no matter what, we're going to overcome. And, you know, they're overcoming.
So, Reggie, I know you saw the news about DeAndre Hunter coming back. Possibly, he's questionable for tomorrow's game. And, you know, you heard about Chris Dunn. Where do you see them mixing into this road trip?
I suspect that DeAndre Hunter is going to be on a minutes limit. He'll probably play maybe like 15-ish minutes for a couple of games, and then, you know, they'll ramp it up to 20 minutes. I don't think he'll be on a minute. I expect DeAndre Hunter to be on a minutes restriction probably throughout this whole road trip. And then I think after the road trip, I probably anticipate that after the road trip, when they get back home, he'll probably play his regular rotation. So I expect Nate McMillan to, you know, kind of, you know, gradually bring Hunter along. I don't think you should expect him to. I don't think you should expect Nick to just throw him out there and he's gonna play 30 minutes. Like, they're gonna gradually bring Hunter along.
So wait, hold on. So when the Hawks get back home, you got Snell coming off the bench?
Eventually, yeah, I do.
Okay.
And as far and he said Chris Dunn.
Yeah, Chris Dunn.
Chris Dunn is interesting. Chris Dunn is interesting because
we have to find out if he still knows how to play basketball first of all.
Right.
Can you still play
Well,
basketball? And then we'll go. Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't when he comes back, he's not gonna be he hasn't played in really in over a year now.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 13 months since the last time we saw him play. So that's gonna be interesting. And to me, I wonder how they're gonna handle Rondo. Like, is Rondo gonna play? Is Rondo gonna play every game, or are they gonna rest Rondo for like certain stretches? Like, I believe that when they first signed Rondo, I originally thought that they were gonna have him play here or there, and then another game they'll probably rest him because he's old. So I'm interested to see how the Chris Dunn thing is gonna work. Like, I'm not, like, to be honest with you guys, I'm not 100% sure how Dunn is gonna completely fit in as far as like being in the lineup. We all know what you all know that his role is supposed to be defend ones and twos, but I'm interested to see how, like, is he gonna come in at the expense of Rondo? Is he gonna come in at the expense of Tony Snell? Herter, I think, has played too well, so I can't imagine like Dunn coming in for him. So that's something that I'm interested in.
Do you trade Cam Reddish for Lonzo Ball?
I saw that rumor. I wouldn't. I would not. I will say this though. It's interesting to think about because Lonzo's actually had a really nice year for the Pelicans, and I think he's a perfect fit next to Trae Young. And so I think two things with that. One, as much as underwhelmed as I've been with Cam Reddish this year, I think it's still too early to give up on him, considering that he never had a full off season last season, and this season has kind of been just it's been kind of a lost year for the kid.
He was dealing with them the messed up rotations your man was giving him.
Maybe.
Hey man, the first 25 games, he was just trying to figure out who he was gonna put in, and you know what I'm saying? And Cam like, Coach, I don't know when I'm gonna get in the game. I don't know how long I'm gonna be in the game. How is he supposed to develop if he don't know? Coach bring me, I'm the first one off the bench. I'm the sixth man this game, and then Coach take me out 2 minutes. How is he even supposed to know how to develop? You know what I'm saying? Gotta give him a chance with Coach Mack, but like you said, I think it's a very popular thing to hate Lonzo Ball just because, UCLA coming into the league and stuff like that. But like you said, like, he's having a very, I would say, underrated season.
He's had a great year.
And
yeah,
he's a really good player. He's a really good player. And like you said, that fit against Trae, the Trae is nice and everything like that. So, and then also with Cam, we were just talking about Chris Dunn and DeAndre Hunter coming back into the lineup, and how do they fit, and what do you do with Tony Snell? He's like an unsung hero, and like you said, Herter's really coming on during this winning streak. So how is Dunn gonna fit? How is Reddish gonna fit when he comes back? Like I said at the beginning of the season, you talk about his development being kind of messed up with those rotations, and now with these guys who can play now that we've improved into his absence, how do you do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, does Cam Reddish fit when everybody's here?
Right.
To me, when it comes to Cam, is I would just whatever happens this year is whatever happens, and I just think you just hope that with a full off season that he'll work on his game, he'll work on his ball handling, he'll work on his shooting, and you just hope that year 3 he matures. And the other thing, why I'm not, and look, in theory, I honestly don't hate that trade in theory, but I think the thing you got to consider with that rumored trade is Lonzo Ball's a free agent. He's a restricted free agent. He's gonna
Restricted.
command somewhere around $20. Yeah, he's gonna command around $20 million a year. And you already have the John Collins situation, so you have to worry about paying him. And let's say in the event that like Atlanta does trade for Lonzo Ball and then pay him, and then they keep Collins. What happens if that happens? You're most likely you're gonna have to make a decision on Bogey or Gallinari, and like one of them's gonna have to go because you can't keep everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Lonzo won.
So you're gonna have
For
to make
real.
a decision. And if I'm Atlanta, like I don't think they need to make any trades. Like you're trying to make the playoffs. You're finally playing good basketball. Guys are trying to figure it out. Like, keep it going. Like, keep what you have. Keep developing chemistry, and just roll what you got. The Hawks to me don't need to make a move. Even I like Lonzo Ball. I don't hate Lonzo Ball. And the trade, in that rumored trade, it makes, in some aspects, it makes some sense because I do think Lonzo fits with trade, but I would not make any trades if I'm Atlanta. Keep your team together. Keep your team as is.
All right. So the Hawks are 4th in the Eastern Conference. I just want to know, as far as standings, just standings in general, what do you think is the floor and the ceiling for the Hawks in the standings? I mean, I'm pretty sure the ceiling is probably 4th because I don't think they'll catch up with the Bucks. But
the ceiling, Malik, is the roof. Personally,
I wish you guys nothing but best. The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen.
go ahead.
But
Reg.
where do you
Reg.
think? Like where do you think is? Because of course the ceiling. So what's the floor? What do you think is the floor? You think they can't get any worse than what to end the season?
Playing game 10th. Now I will say this. Now I will say this. LaMelo Ball. I don't know if you guys heard LaMelo Ball. Terrible news. Guy he's gonna be out for a year with a fractured thumb or wrist or whatever. So to me, that's a huge blow for the Hornets. So and in a weird end, I hate seeing LaMelo Ball being injured, but like for the Hawks, that's good. That's good for the Hawks because now the Hornets are weaker. So now that's one team that you can get over. So like the Hawks at worst should be a playing team at least, at worst. But actually, you know what? At worst, they should be the 8th seed. Like to me, if the Hawks are not in the top 8 by the time the season is over, that's a disappointment to me.
Context. The Hawks are literally 2 games and a half from the 10th seed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's true. But like you look at I'm looking at the standings. Like they're better than Chicago. Without LaMelo, they're better than the Hornets. I know they're better than the Knicks. Like with a fully healthy roster, like I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. With a fully healthy roster, the Hawks are the 4th best team in the East. Like they just are. With this level of talent, the Hawks should be in the top 4. They should be right where they are right now. They should finish the season. If they play the way that they're capable of playing, they should be the 4th seed.
The Heat?
Yeah, they're more. They have more from top to bottom. The Hawks have a better roster than Miami. They do, and I love Jimmy.
Are they beating Miami in the 7-game series?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? Yeah.
Playoff predictions.
Yeah. I do. If they, I do. If they play Miami in a 7-game series, I think Atlanta will beat them. I do. They have from top to bottom. They have a better roster.
How many games? How many games?
It might take 7. It'll take 7 because
So you got Trae Young over Jimmy Butler. This is a question we asked with the Brooklyn series because we brought up Brooklyn a couple weeks ago. So,
Okay.
all right, Trae Young versus Jimmy Butler in the Game 7. You got Trae Young.
I'll take Jimmy. So, I'm sorry, Trae.
I seen Big Face Coffee Jimmy in the bubble last year, but that boy different, man.
he real different.
That boy different, man.
But like it's kind of interesting you brought it up because from a few years we go way back when the Hawks and Heat played in the playoffs. It was Joe Johnson and Dwayne Wade, right? Like Dwayne Wade was the best player, but the Hawks had the better roster, and the Hawks having a better roster won out, right?
And 7.
That's kind of what I see with the Hawks and Heat. Like, I truly believe, and look, Jimmy's the best player, but I truly believe Atlanta from top to bottom. I think their roster is just far superior than what the Heat have.
I like it. I
was about to ask you, Malik. Anything you seen up here that you really like? Before
one more thing. When the folks on Twitter watch this, podcast or whatever it is, they'll see that I'm being positive on the Hawks.
Give Reggie his credit. Reggie is not a pessimistic Hawks fan.
That was the name of the episode. Give Reggie his credit.
Give Reggie his credit. Give Reggie his flowers.
Yeah, okay, all right. But hold on. Just but before you go, Malik, Cleveland. I'm looking at Cleveland, them jokers. Kyle Lowry. Once Kyle Lowry gets back healthy, I'm looking at these jokers right here.
True.
Indiana, they always, some way, somehow, always in it.
Always.
For some reason. And then the Wizards, if the Wizards get to 10 in the playing tournament, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, how many? I don't know how many games it's a playing tournament. Is it just single elimination?
The Wizards Wizards are done.
I think if you're the 7 or the 8 seed, all you gotta do is win one game. But if you are like outside of that 7 and 8, you gotta win 2. I'm not sure if I think that's how it is because that's how they did it in the bubble last year.
Yeah, in the bubble. Well, what I was saying with the Wizards is, you just think about that Brooklyn game when they were down by what, like 10 with 2 minutes left,
Yeah.
And then Westbrook and Bill were just like, we're gonna be Westbrook and Bill. I always think that's a possibility when you have 2 guys of that caliber on the team. Like they can just do that when they need to in a win or live or die situation. But anyway, I'm gonna let you go, Malik, because we only have like a few minutes left.
All right, so let me ask. All right, so let's just ask about this road trip they're on. What do you see the final record for the road trip? 'Cause they finished against the Pelicans? Yeah, the last game is against the Pelicans, so they have 7 games left. What's the remaining record? What's the record for the road trip you got?
Okay. I'm gonna go with and
matter of fact, just call out each game.
I think they're gonna beat the Clippers.
Okay. That's big.
I think they'll beat the Clippers. I think they'll beat the Kings. I think they'll lose to the Warriors.
Okay.
They'll lose to the Nuggets. They'll lose to the Suns. They'll beat the Spurs, and they'll beat the Pelicans.
So 4-3, 5-3.
That's
So you got the win.
That's not that bad.
That's not bad at all.
Go ahead, Malik. Oh,
right.
And by the way, you had them winning 10 games in a row.
Yeah.
For me?
No, Reg.
Oh,
Reg.
no.
No,
Reggie did.
Reggie did. We got a minute left, Malik, so hurry up.
Okay, so I got them losing tomorrow. I got them beating the Kings. They'll beat the Warriors. They'll beat the Nuggets. They'll lose to the Suns. They'll beat the Spurs. I think they'll lose to the Pelicans.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody go ahead and give your socials out before we close. The meeting is about to close.
Go ahead, Reggie.
Reggie's World, REGGIES _ World, WORLD.
You can find me at _ Malik ATL.
RashadMiller.com. You can follow me on Twitter at CrankThatWorldwide. You.
And if they come out clean.